Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to IPMI's Learning Lab with Blink. We've got quite a number of attendees this afternoon, and we're excited to get the presentation started. So we're going to give everyone a couple of minutes to get logged in, get comfortable, and get ready for the presentation of the day. So please, as you're filing in, a couple of things. There is no video for our participants on this. The communication runs through our Q&A, our polls, and our chat, and we will be doing all of those things today. So you can feel free to pop your questions in the chat as they come up to you. And of course, ask them in the Q&A, and please do be responsive to our polls if you can. Okay, thanks so much for joining us today. We will be sharing the entire recording as well as the presentation slides with you. So no need to take notes. You can just pay attention to our presenters today. We are going to pass it off to get started. I am going to pass you to Kenny from IPMI to welcome Blink, our learning lab today.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. The International Parking and Mobility Institute is pleased to present this webinar titled Show Me the Money, Your Guide to EV Charging Incentives, presented by Blink. My name is Kenny, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. If you need assistance at any time during the program, please raise your hand or use the chat feature. We will assist you. Today's presentation will last 60 minutes and will include a specific question and answer period. However, you can queue up questions for us at any time during today's presentation. To enter a question to the webinar system, simply click the Q&A tab or the chat and type your question and press enter. These instructions will be repeated later. All registered participants will receive an archived version of this presentation in a few days. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our speakers, Rebecca Gutierrez, Vice President of Marketing, and Brandon Jacobs, Regional Vice President of Sales at Blink. Brandon Jacobs is a Regional Vice President of Sales at Blink Charging. He came to Blink with the knowledge of a seasoned supply chain and business development professional. Brandon has sold over 1,000 chargers. Previously, Brandon worked in sales of solar energy. Brandon has been focused on sustainability for most of his career, a member of the Electric Automotive Association of the Hudson Valley. Brandon holds a BS from Michigan State and an MS in Sustainability Management from Columbia University. Rebecca Gutierrez brings nearly 20 years of marketing experience and over a decade of practical experience in marketing firms in the architecture, engineering, and construction fields. Rebecca works alongside the team's executive team to raise awareness of the Blink brand with EV drivers, host locations, the media, and the investment community. She drives the business forward by identifying high-level strategic partnerships to secure and welcoming EV drivers and host locations into the Blink family. Brandon, Rebecca, welcome to the program. The audience is all yours.
Thank you. Great to be here. We're very excited to talk about not so much Blink charging, but definitely EV charging and electric vehicles. I'm just going to set the stage a little bit before we really get too deep into this. Usually we have some people trickle in at the beginning, and you probably already know this. So OEMs are going all in. You would be remiss not to turn on the news or check what's going on in the world without hearing something about an auto manufacturer committing to going electric, or the Biden administration committing to EV charging infrastructure and the development of it. Or even if you've read the headlines in the last couple of days, certainly Hertz committing to buying 100,000 electric vehicles. Guys, we're here. We are at the hockey stick point where electric vehicles aren't just maybe going to come, they're on their way. And the OEMs have taken note, and of course companies such as Blink Charging, we've not just taken note, but we are getting fired up and we are getting ready to get the infrastructure out there. So there used to be the big joke in the industry, what comes first, the charger or the vehicle, a little like a chicken and an egg. Well, guess what? They're both here. It doesn't matter anymore. So we're going to set you up right off the bat with a little bit of a poll question. We try to tailor our content as much as possible for the audience. So first, just please let us know, how much do you know about electric vehicles and EV charging infrastructure? If we find we have a really knowledgeable audience, we can skip some of the simple stuff. If we have a mix, we'll go through it all. So if we can pop up the poll question, we'll get some answers. There you go. So how much do you currently know about EVs and EV charging? I know nothing, I know a little, I know a lot, or I am a pro. Not sure anybody, even us in the industry, are pros. But feel free to boast if you are. Okay, we'll give it just another second. All right, so let's close that poll and let's see what we have for the results here. There we go. Okay, good. This is normal. I like this. All right, so a whole lot of you know a little, and quite a few of you know a lot, so that's great. I bet you we have some site hosts already in the audience. So if you are already hosting EV charging equipment, thank you. We love you. We need a whole lot more of you, so thanks for your early commitment. And now let's jump right into it, shall we? For those of you who maybe don't know as much, I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. We're going to send you the presentation. If you have more questions, I'm always available. Brandon will make himself available. No worries if you didn't catch something. Basic charging 101. What are the different types? So there's level 1 charging. This is simple. Plug it into a wall. You can do this. It's very inexpensive. It's extraordinarily slow. Probably not realistic for the new vehicles coming out to the market and for daily use of your vehicle. They say you can get 2 to 5 miles of charge in an hour. So as you can imagine, if you drive 100 miles, it's going to take a long time to get that. So we're not here to talk about that. That's not what's going to move the industry forward. We're here to talk about level 2 and DC fast charging. And this is what you're here to hear about, I bet. So level 2 charging is the sweet spot for Blink, certainly. It's more standard. It's ideal for destination charging, places that you dwell for 20 minutes or more. Perfect for overnight charging in your home. And it accommodates all electric vehicles through either a J1772 plug, which is right there on the left, or the Tesla plug, which is for, of course, Teslas. You can actually get an adapter for a Tesla and use a standard L2 or level 2 charging. So you get 40 to 65 miles of charge per hour. Brandon's going to go a lot more in detail about how that's actually assessed and how long it really takes to charge a vehicle, because there's a whole lot of variables, and it's probably the most common question we get is how fast will my car charge? Then there's DC fast charging. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as level 3, not entirely true, but DC fast charging is fast charging. This is for those roadside truck stops. This is for when you need to charge your car in 20 minutes and get on your way. It's very expensive to install. The equipment's very expensive. The wiring running up to it is expensive because it's 480 volts, and it has different connectors as well. However, you can get 80% of a full battery in about 20 minutes. So there is a definite need for this, especially as we build out infrastructure across the whole country. Okay. So just real quick, I mean, Blink is the one putting this on. We're happy to be your partner if you decide to go with EV charging solutions. So a little bit about Blink. Oops, sorry. Here's where we're based. We have multiple offices from California to Arizona to Miami. We're expanding over into Europe. We're in the Middle East, and we have a growing footprint in India as well. We were founded in 2009. This was very early stages in the industry, back when people are like, EVs are never going to take off. Boy, were they wrong. We are vertically integrated. We design, manufacture, and own our own equipment. We'll get more in detail with Brandon's portion about some of the business models of Blink, but one of the things that truly sets us aside is that we do own and operate our own equipment. It's not our only business model, but it's certainly a very significant portion of our business model. We are a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ, so you can check us out there. And we grow by acquisitions and organic growth. So we have had multiple acquisitions in the last few months, and we'll continue to as EV charging becomes more commonplace. Currently, we have, this is outdated already, we have over 200,000 drivers in our network. That number is growing every month exponentially as more people are committing to EVs. So that's super exciting. That's a little bit about us. This is our product lineup. We do have a robust product lineup from level 2 to DC fast. On the left there is our home product. This can be purchased on Amazon. It's a sleek, simple product. Just plug your car in and it starts charging. Very easy to use, very intuitive for your single family residence. Our marquee or signature product is the IQ200. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but this is really the most economical and best solution for any kind of destination charging, whether it be a multifamily residence or a parking garage. A lot of hospitals are installing these for both their doctors and the people who go to them. We have an innovative portable generator, IQ200M. It's a love to hate kind of product. It's actually a lot of fun talking to people about this product because they say, oh, but it's on a gas generator. And we say, oh, but the industry asked us to come up with this solution because range anxiety, the fear of running out of electricity is very real for new EV drivers. So we came up with this solution and it has just been flying off the shelf. So it's a lot of fun on that one. And then we have a robust DC fast product offering. This is just one of many. It ranges from 50 kilowatts to 175 kilowatts. So depending on the right application, from fast to really, really fast charging on the DC side. A little bit more about Blink, and Brandon will cover some of these as we start talking about some of the grants opportunities and how to really leverage those opportunities to have minimal impact when you want to install EV charging stations. We have flexible business models. We have multiple different business models depending on what suits your needs. It can create an additional revenue stream. I was just having a conversation this morning with one of my coworkers about how we're seeing utilization really tick up as more EVs hit the street, more people need to charge. Dynamic load management, great solution for parking, multifamily operations. I know Brandon's going to speak a little bit about that, but also just really attracting new eyeballs to your locations, whether it be a parking facility or a retail facility. EV drivers are looking for this amenity. A little bit about local load management. I'm going to let Brandon actually kind of interject here because he's the expert, and it's a really unique and I think innovative solution to deploy a lot of charging stations very economically.
Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, local load management is a really neat aspect of our chargers. So, and I'll touch on this in a little bit later on, but our chargers take a lot of power. Each plug can take its own 100 amp dedicated service. So an issue that we often run into with hosts is that they just don't have enough power to feed all the chargers. So local load management is a solution to address that. So what it is exactly is you can take, for example, one 100 amp circuit and share it across multiple chargers. So if you want to, let's say you only have 100 amps and you want to put 4 chargers in, you could split that 100 amps across all 4 chargers. And when one charger is in use, it'll pull the full power. When 2 are in use, it'll split it evenly, and so forth. So, this is a really frequent issue we run into with the limited power. Many buildings weren't designed to add on, a whole bunch of chargers. So this is a unique strategy to, get more chargers in on limited capacity.
Yeah, and we can talk a little bit more in detail about, but this is something very, very interesting and very unique. Certainly I have it in my condo building where there's 4 chargers sharing 100 amp circuit. And you can set it to either first in, first served. So the first car that gets there gets the max for their car, and then the rest is shared throughout. Or you can just equally share them across the chargers as well. So a lot of opportunity there. So thanks for that, Brendan. That was super informative. So show me the money, right? That's what we're all here for. I think most people at this point have some kind of a sense that EV infrastructure is a benefit to anywhere there's a parking spot, but you don't necessarily want to spend a lot to deploy it. So there are a lot of opportunities to help offset those costs. Grants, rebates, tax incentives are one of the largest of those, of course, and then pairing with Blink's business models as well might be a good solution for you. So the incentives comes in a lot of different ways, and probably the key takeaway from this is it changes, I would say, literally every day. There's new incentives coming online from utilities or state sources, or even federal sources. There's new grants that we can submit a location for. There's tons and tons of opportunities to take advantage of government or utility money for EV charging. The best solution, or the best thing I can say, is nobody is an expert. We have a whole grants team dedicated to staying up to date on these. So if you are interested and you want to know if there's something available, just let us know and we'll find out for you. We did want to just talk through some of it so you can kind of understand how it works. So this map is not exhaustive by any stretch of the imagination. These are the biggest, mostly statewide opportunities, but there's tons of smaller opportunities in here as well. To kind of walk you through a little bit of how they vary, I'll start with California on the West Coast. There's multiple different grants there. There's something called Cal EVIP, which isn't even listed. They go regionally to offer incentives and rebates for EV charging infrastructure. There's in Alameda County, there's a rebate that either came out this week or is coming out this week, specific to Alameda County. Another county just closed, so they change very frequently. SCE, Southern California Edison, the utility there, is offering over $400 million in funding for EV charging infrastructure. So we're talking a really significant impact to getting these chargers in the ground. Especially as you may be aware, California has mandated by 2030, no more internal combustion engines. They want to go all zero emission. So they're actually providing the incentives to make that happen and make that a reality. Colorado's another example. They have an on again, off again, Charge Ahead Colorado program. It's on for a few months, then it's off for a few months, and it's back on for a few months. If you're in Colorado, just let us know. We'll help you understand those states and get your application in the right timing. Again, Texas, another statewide incentive and grant as well. Brandon, I know you're extremely familiar with some of the East regions. Do you want to talk about any of those?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rebecca. So there's a lot of action going on all over the country, as Rebecca just walked through, and the East Coast definitely has a lot of traction. So we have Pennsylvania, which has their Driving PA4 program, which is a percentage of the total project cost. You have New York, the utilities are offering to cover up to 100% of the installation cost. You have New Jersey, where they're doing both funding for the hardware and for a portion of the installation cost. Connecticut, same thing. Massachusetts. There's the Virginia Clean Cities, which covers Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and DC. That's up to 80% of the total project cost. So there's a lot of funding in multiple states. And if you're here and you're not seeing your state highlighted, don't worry. A couple things. There's the federal tax credit, which is 30% of the total project cost, including the hardware and the installation cost. So no matter where you are in the country, you will get that. And also with the infrastructure bill that hopefully will be passing soon, those monies will trickle down to the states as well to offer individual rebate programs for chargers. So there's a lot here and there's more coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just to follow on with that, and thank you very much, Brandon. Also, there are large grant opportunities that companies such as Blink bundle together. So we always need site hosts who want to be a part of that bundle for specific grants that as an individual site host, you're not eligible for, but when you're part of like a Blink grant application, you would be eligible. Just to let you know, we have advance notice when those are coming out. We know there's one coming in New Hampshire, Wisconsin, Ohio. There's lots of these constantly coming through the system. So just let us know where you are and what you're interested in, and we'll let you know what might be coming near you. All right, we have another poll question for you. We want to find out what you know. So if we can pop up that poll, what's preventing you so far from installing or having EV chargers at your property? We have the cost, lack of knowledge, maybe. Maybe you have a capacity issue or nothing. You're all set, ready to start. We'll give you a call if it's that last one. All right, just another second or two, and then we'll close this poll. All right, I think we can probably wrap that one up. Let's see what everyone says. Oof, you're in the right place, the cost. You guys definitely want to show me the money. I love it. All right, cool. Well, definitely reach out to us and we will try to connect you with some of these opportunities for sure. With that, we want to kind of walk you through what it is like to work with Blink and to get it, especially for those who said nothing's stopping you, you're pretty much ready. You might have questions about the process. Brandon, would you mind kind of walking us through the process?
Yeah, my pleasure. So, and side note, I see a lot of questions are coming through. We're going to get to all of them at the end of the presentation. So feel free to keep throwing them in the chat and we'll address everyone we see. All right, so you're interested in installing chargers. What do you do next? So this is kind of like the map. There's only a few steps really. You want to take a look at your site, make sure it makes sense to install chargers. And then, yep, I guess I'll jump right in here. So so the first step is understanding what kind of power you have on site. That is really step one. So we'll need to do a site visit, whether it's your electrician or Blink's electrician, to take a look at your existing electrical infrastructure and see what makes sense from how many chargers to put in, how much power you have. So if you're interested in installing chargers, step one is to get a better handle on the power that you have available on site. That will help us determine if we're going to have to load share, if we're going to have to bring in a new service, if you have plenty of power. So that's the starting point we need to kind of evaluate where to take it next. And the next slide, Rebecca, will talk about the business models that Blink can offer. So, after you've done the evaluation, you reach out to Blink before or after that, and you'll be assigned a rep that is based in your territory. We have reps all over the country that are subject matter experts in the states that they are located in. And they will walk you through which of these business models make sense. I'm not going to dive into the details of each one, but they span from on one end of the spectrum on the left, the host being you, buying the chargers, paying for the installation, receiving all the rebates, and receiving all of the revenue that the chargers generate. And on the other end is the Blink-owned solution where we pay for everything. We give you the chargers for free. We offer to pay for the installation. We pay for the electricity, but we keep most of the revenue in that situation. So in between is a mixture of those chargers. If you want to take a second to look at the line items, where the big points here are who's paying for the hardware, the installation, the electricity, who's responsible for maintaining the chargers throughout their life, who's going to set the price of the chargers, if you're paying annual fees or not. So, Blink prides itself on offering, a whole slew of business models, and each one is designed to fit the exact need of our individual host.
Brandon, if I may, sure. I've heard a story that there were some site hosts who did a hybrid-owned agreement with Blink where we provided the equipment, and then they also applied for a grant, I believe up in New York, and didn't have to pay anything. Is that possible?
It sure is, Rebecca. So, the grants are so robust in certain areas that in many cases, there is very little or no out of pocket. So, it's a really exciting time for the charging industry, and it's only getting better. So, we have pools of money. There was a fund in New York that did recently run out of money. So there's because of the demand. So, I would encourage everyone to get in the door as soon as possible, just because the way that these rebates are typically set up is there is a finite amount of money. So, get it while you can, or wait for the next one to open. But some programs are so lucrative that you could have little or even no cost.
That's fascinating. And just because I did see it was a question also, does the grants, do the grants typically cover the cost of the equipment or the installation, or could they possibly do both?
Yeah, so each grant is their own process, and it varies quite a bit. Some are a portion of the installation cost. Some are just a flat fee for every charger you install, and some are a percentage of the total cost you spend, versus hardware and installation. So I would say it's a combination of all three.
Awesome. So what's next?
All right, so you checked out your site, it looks good, you got enough power, you talked to your Blink rep, they directed you in which business model to choose, you're signing the deals, you're ready to move. What do you do next? The rebates are state by state, and they all have their unique processes on how to apply. But for the most part, you typically have to apply for the funding, the rebate, before you do the installation. Again, not always, but in most cases, that is the scenario. So your Blink rep, your sales rep, will guide you throughout this process. In many cases, the electrician on the job will also help you, and sometimes apply directly and have them receive the funds directly. So, once you have the paperwork ready to go with Blink, we help you, submit the applications, get you details you need. Typically, they want to know what your estimated costs are, contracts with Blink, your permits, all the prep work to install chargers. So you submit that paperwork usually and wait for the approvals for the funding. And once you have those approvals, then we move on to the install. So the installation of the equipment, the responsibility of that work is determined based on which business model you settle on. So if you are buying the chargers, the host-owned model, then it is technically your responsibility to hire an electrician to do the install. We don't have a determined list of installers that you must use. You're welcome to use your own shops if you have someone that you know and trust. But we have a whole network of installers nationwide that have experience installing our chargers, and we are more than happy to refer you an installer to do that work. And if anyone on this call is an installer themselves, then we can get you set up in our installer network and recommend you for work. If Blink is paying for the chargers and we're owning them, then it is our responsibility to find and hire and schedule the installation with our electricians. So as far as how long it takes, it doesn't take that long. There's not a whole lot of moving pieces. We're just running a couple wires from your power source to the chargers. From my experience, I've seen once installers get on site and finish, and the time it takes them to finish the job is typically only a week or two. We currently have a healthy amount of inventory in stock domestically, so you don't have to wait a long time for the chargers to ship. Now, I know everyone has heard the scary stories of supply chain issues or globally. Obviously no one's immune to that, but we do have a good amount of inventory available right now. So as long as you don't drag your feet half a year, I would say, then you should be in a good position to have short lead times on the hardware. And then typically to round out the rebate, typically after you receive your preliminary approvals from the rebate board, after the installation, you send in pictures and invoices to your respective rebate board, and then that's how they determine their reimbursement process.
And one step that's not in here, and particularly something that my department usually assists with, is you're not alone once you install the equipment. We don't just set it there and leave you on your own. What we do then is we ensure that your location shows up, as long as it's publicly accessible, on the Blink charging map, and all of our integrations as well. So once your equipment is operable, you can be found as an EV charging destination on Google Maps, Apple Maps. I can't name them all. You imagine a mapping system, we're on it. Third-party crowdsourced applications as well, so that drivers will now know that they can come to your location specifically to charge their vehicle, and it has the details about how much it would cost for them, or any restrictions, or if they have to valet or what have you, whatever is necessary for them to charge their vehicle. We also walk you through, once your equipment's installed, we offer monthly webinars on how to use this system. So you do get access to our robust Blink network, where you can manage and monitor what's going on with your charging stations across any of your locations. So we teach you how to use that, so you can be an educated partner as well. If you don't want to, you don't have to. If you just want to set it and forget it, you can do that too. But if you do want to be in the know and kind of understand that, we'll walk you through that as well. And we try to help you promote the equipment as well, because we know one of the main drivers of installing them, particularly in destination parking lots, or in things of that nature, retail businesses, what have you, is you want to attract new customers with that amenity. So we'll help you through best practices with that as well. I think next time I'm going to add a slide on that one. All right, we have another poll question for you. Just make sure you don't fall asleep. As you know, I mentioned, this is put on by IPMI, but we did invite some of our friends, people who have reached out to us about equipment, because we wanted you to understand the grant money as well. So let us know, where do you come from? What industry are you currently, or is your property currently located in? Or maybe you're a parking operator who has multiple properties. Let us know, please. All right, I think we're good there. What do we have? Where's everyone coming from? Other. I noticed parking wasn't on there, and I wonder if that had something to do with it. We'll have to ask where all you others are from, but okay, that's fantastic. A lot of multifamily, actually a lot of those, so I think that's pretty great. All right. We already talked a little bit about Blink, and I want to leave plenty of time for Q&A. So Brandon, I'll leave the next two up to you if you'd like to add anything, but otherwise we have a ton of questions to get through.
Yeah, just real quick on this slide, I think the most important part is the 19.2 kilowatts. So, you know, most level 2 chargers around the market right now are in the 7.2 kilowatt range. The Blink charger was the technology was developed in 2019. It's the newest, latest and greatest technology available, and it can offer up to 19.2 kilowatts. So it's about 3 times as fast as other level 2s out there. All right, so some highlights on the charger as well. As you can see, it has multiple configurations on how you want to display it. It can go on a pedestal that we include. It could be mounted on a pole like you see there, or even on a wall. Whatever your setup is, however it's arranged, we can, you know, come up with a solution that fits your environment. So I'll try to run through, so I know we have a lot of questions. But as far as the amperage, so I mentioned earlier that the charger can take 100 amps each plug, but by no means does it have to take that much. If you don't have that much power, you only have 50 amps, for example, then that is fine. You can give it with as much as you have, but obviously the more amperage you feed it, the faster the charger will be. It can, you know, you can put 1 or 2 plugs on a pedestal. It has the cable management that's retrofittable to both the pedestal, pole, or wall mount to organize the cord. And, you know, each charger has a utility grade meter inside of it. So it is monitoring every single kilowatt hour that drivers use. And you, being the host, you know, regardless of which business model you choose, you can monitor that usage in real time. So you'll see exactly how long the charging session was, how many kilowatt hours were used, how much money was paid, the member ID of who used the charger, and so forth. So it's a really transparent system that allows you to closely monitor the chargers. And regardless of who owns the chargers, Blink manages all the revenue collection. So part of the Blink network is their ability to monitor the chargers remotely and collect that revenue. And again, doesn't matter which model you are, we will send you a statement of usage which details the kilowatt hours, the fees, everything related to the charger on a monthly basis, and along with a check or a wire for your share. So you don't have to worry about managing the credit cards or anything like that. That is completely on Blink, and you just receive a check or a wire on a monthly basis. All right.
Fantastic. That was a lot of information, but good stuff there. I did see a couple of questions come through. We will be emailing you the presentation and some follow-on. You will have our contact information. If you want to get in touch with our grants team or have specific questions about your location, if you're eligible for any kind of grant or incentive money, just shoot us an email and we'll be sure to get you an answer. With that, I think we should start running through some of these questions. What do you think?
Yes, how about I'm going to fire through some of these. That's okay. So
you got it.
The first one I see is for the DC charger. Does the average install cost include the utility cost? So typically there is a utility side cost to bring power to the site. So if I'm installing either a level 2 or a DC fast charger and I need new service, then there's a separate cost for the utility to bring power, and that is not the responsibility of you, the host. The utility it's the utility's responsibility to bring power to the site, and then it's the host's responsibility to take that power to the charger. So the install cost does not include the utility cost, but you will not have to pay that either. All right. The concern with multifamily buildings is we need a simple authentication and direct billing to customer services with ease of managing user access. What is your solution to address this issue? So Blink manages all the revenue collection. Drivers use the touchscreen that's on the charger to just enter their credit card, and that's how they pay for the chargers. They can also use their phone, the Blink app, to pay for the chargers and activate them. They can use Apple Pay or the chip on their credit card. They have a Blink card that looks like this. They just wait in front of the touchscreen. That will pay for the charger. So it's hands off for the host. The driver pays on the charger. Blink manages that revenue and just mails checks to the host. Are the chargers UL listed? Yes, all of our chargers are UL listed. What is the ratio of level 2 stations to the number of EVs in a multifamily residence? Good question. I typically recommend about 3 to 5% of the parking spaces on site to be equipped with chargers. We have some mandates in some major metropolitan areas, for example, New York and some areas in California, where at least 20% of all parking spaces need to be EV ready. So the conduits ran to each site ready to place chargers. But if you don't have that mandate, I would say that 3 to 5% is a good starting point. You can always start small, monitor the demand, and expand accordingly if you like. How much does the IQ200 cost? Our dual port charger, which is our most popular product, so it's 2 chargers on a pedestal. You can charge 2 cars at once. Each of those plugs can take 100 amps. The MSRP for that unit is $6,500, and there's an annual fee for the network of $360. All right, running through these. Is there a ratio chart for how many stations should be installed for a parking garage? Similar to multifamily, I'd say 3 to 5%. If you know that you have more demand than that, if you have 20 Teslas in your garage every day, then I would recommend putting more in that scenario and satisfying that demand. But as a general rule of thumb, 3 to 5%.
And on that note, Brandon, I'm hearing for new construction as well that some states are mandating a certain number of spots being make ready. Is that the case? Have you been hearing the same?
Yeah, it's kind of what I just mentioned a second ago. So some of the major cities are mandating that. I think in California, it's close to 100% of spots need to be EV ready. New York is 20%. I believe New Jersey has one. So it's coming, and I don't think we're far away from all cities, major cities, from mandating a portion. So if you want to get ahead of it now, then I would recommend that. But if there's no mandate in place, then you can start with a controlled amount and just see how the demand goes and grow from there.
Yeah, and just to continue, I did see there is a comment about someone with new construction. It is significantly cheaper, in my understanding, to make the site ready for chargers for the future before the facility is built. So definitely, if you are in the building process, I would plan ahead and get out in front of this and save yourself a whole bunch of money on the back end.
Yeah, that's a good point, Rebecca. Thanks. Because if you're in a scenario where you can run the power and run the wiring before you lay pavement, then that could save you a lot of cost down the line.
For sure.
Next
What we're
question.
here for.
Yep.
Saving the money.
Exactly. Can the portable IQ 200M be adapted for CNG or LP operations? It would be cleaner than a small engine. To my knowledge, no. They run on gasoline. I don't believe there's a plan to change that. Rebecca, do you have any additional insight on that?
Yes, so currently there is not. They are, we do have another product in the R&D stages, but it's not anywhere where it's going to be a reality in the next year or so.
Mm-hmm. Is the load balancing done via the software or hardware setup? Both. So the hardware needs to be, the wiring needs to be run to the chargers, the hardware, at time of installation. And then once the wiring is in place, our network operations team sets it up remotely so that it's sharing the load. So it's a combination of both. All right, this is a long question. With regard to public charging stations and parking garage application, do you see anything in the pipeline for allowing users to declare how long they intend to use the station for a given session? This would allow load to be spread out through the duration of the vehicle being in that parking spot and reduce the severity of peak loads when everybody parks at the garage at the same time. That's interesting. Rebecca, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yes, so we are looking at some additional membership tiers and options, and this would be a portion of that. We are also looking at dynamic pricing and some other things. So definitely late summer next year, we'll have a little bit more clarity on this. It's an interesting one as we're looking at building out those features. So I'm going to take this one back to the tech team. As of right now, this is not possible, but a lot is changing very quickly and we're responding to the industry. So I would say keep us in mind if you don't have Blink equipment and give us a note sometime mid to early next year and we'll have some more clarity around it.
Mm-hmm. All right, next up, is the software going to set up the FIFO load share? FIFO managing is first in, first out. Yes, it is. So as long as the wiring is in place, then the software can tell it to do either first in, first out, or an even load share. Mm-hmm. Someone mentioned they're from Wyoming. There's no grants. I don't think there's a question in there, but you do have the federal tax credit number. So irregardless of where you are, you can get 30% as a tax credit on the total cost of the chargers and the installation. Do we have resellers in Canada? I believe we do, but we're always looking for more, and qualified resellers in every area. Who on the Blink team could I confer with about opportunities for grants and rebates in Michigan? Feel free to shoot me an email. We'll have our contact information up. I think it's right there on the screen, and I will put you in touch with the right rep. All
yeah,
right.
let me take the next one. So how is Blink addressing tampering, theft, or vandalism with the copper electric feed wire? This actually, there were a couple of comments I noticed on the chat coming through about this. So there are anti-theft properties to this copper wire, and although the cords are very thick because they're very safe, there's very little copper wire in it. So we haven't seen, other than a couple of rare exceptions, we haven't seen a huge problem with this. And we don't believe that it will become a huge problem, but we do monitor it. And definitely if there's a tech solution out there with the anti-theft coding or whatever, I'm not a technical person, but whatever they're doing on the copper wires so that it's not recyclable is actually a deterrent in itself. But we do have locations that opt to pair Blink charging equipment with some cameras or other lighting features just to prevent any kind of theft or vandalism. And any Blink account rep can help talk you through some of those options. We do understand sometimes they get installed in parking garages and you may need to consider additional lighting and things of that nature. So all that kind of feeds into that conversation as well. So I would just say more than anything, when you're talking to your rep, just mention those concerns and they can help you understand options for you.
All right.
Do you want to take the solar charging or do you want me to take that one?
I'll take it. So, sorry, I know I'm hogging all the questions here. Well, before that, how do we connect with the grants team? Just shoot either Rebecca or I an email and we'll put you in touch with the right person. All right. So, is Blink considering developing a solar charging unit similar to a different company? The biggest hindrance is the infrastructure and utility side cost. So we do have chargers that are paired with solar. The only thing is typically you need a sizable array of solar to provide enough power to solely power the chargers. And it typically needs to be paired with a storage element because, you know, when it's not sunny out, we need the chargers to work still. So typically, if we're doing solar, it needs to be a large array paired with batteries. And we've done that in multiple cases throughout the country. And
we actually do work with Envision. And we were awarded a very significant grant opportunity in the state of Florida, which is where our headquarters is. And it had a solar component as well as the battery backup as well. So the answer is yes.
Yes. All right. What funding is available for nonprofits at the federal and state? We live in Colorado. So federal, the 30% tax credit available anywhere in the country. And in the state, Colorado, I think that was in your presentation, Rebecca, there is a rebate in Colorado. Is that right?
There is the Charge Up Colorado grant. That is the one that comes on and off on a regular basis. I'm not currently sure if it's active right now. However, we are lobbying to get that one just consistently active because having a very stop-start application period is confusing to our site hosts. So let me know about Colorado and we'll get you the information you need.
Rebecca, you want to take the white label question?
Yeah, sure. So does Blink offer any white label opportunities? We are an extremely flexible company, so we really don't say no to too much. So I would say, let us know what you're looking to do and how we can best support you. Currently, the only white label opportunities we have are outside of the United States, but that doesn't mean it has to stay that way. Those are just the opportunities that we have seen come to fruition currently.
But we do have pedestal wrapping, right, Rebecca?
We do. Yes, we do. So maybe you're not looking for a full white label of the network and the chargers. We do have the on-screen ads, which are a great opportunity to extend a message to your customers. Or if it's based on a pedestal, we have some really cool ideas. We can wrap the pedestal with any kind of branding or messaging.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have clients that wrap the entire pedestal with their branding. So it's, you know, a good way to get your name out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we had the first EV chargers in our town and want to see how to get them replaced, grant opportunities, etc. So, you know, the different rebate programs have different rules on if you can get money for replacements. So I would say check with your sales rep to see if you're in a grant state, what the rules are on what you can receive for replacements. A lot of them, they need, as long as the chargers were installed in the last 5 years or so, then you should be eligible for any new money. As vehicles change to solid state batteries, how will Blink change? Do the chargers need updating? I'm not really sure about that one. So Rebecca, do you have any insight on that? I'm not sure I follow that.
Honestly, I don't. I'm not sure I understand the question completely. What we can do is take it offline. Dean, if you want to put your email in the Q&A or the chat, we can reach out to you on that with our tech team or our R&D team.
Mhm.
The best I can say is, we're obviously very in tune. There's certainly the R&D team in tune with what's coming forward with the OEMs, and work closely with them to be responsive.
Yeah, I can say that I know that our chargers are compatible with the whole next wave of cars that are coming online, so I don't imagine this would be an issue. What does ITC makers look like for 2022? Rebecca, do you know about that?
No, let's, in the essence of time, you guys have been amazing. We have, I think, like 35 questions left. So let's see if we can kind of bucket some of these questions together so we can get as many answered, even if they're not identical answers to them. If you want, Brandon, I can kind of do a quick scroll through and just lob them over to you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so there's some questions about contracts. So maybe just talk through what a Blink contract could look like.
Yep, so it varies based on the business model. And that is part of the, before you apply for funding, you work with your sales rep to identify how much power you have, which model makes sense. Once you guys have settled on a model, then they will send you the relevant contract. And once that contract is reviewed and signed, then you can apply for funding and start installing the chargers. So it varies per business model.
Okay. We have a bunch of people from the education industry. That's awesome. So universities. So do you have any experience deploying them with universities, and what special considerations do they have?
Yeah, I do. I recently installed chargers at University of Pennsylvania, and special considerations, nothing unique, I would say. I mean, there's typically more people that need to sign off on those types of deals when there's when it's a university or a municipality. But they're all, no matter what type of property it is, it's typically pretty similar. You need to have enough power. You want to put them in a spot that's visible to the public, and that's pretty much it. So I wouldn't say nothing that is specific to universities or any municipalities, but we have worked with them and have much experience there.
Awesome. Okay. How about, is there a warranty, or what kind of warranties are available?
Each charger comes with a 1-year warranty if you own it, and you can purchase an extended warranty if you'd like. If Blink owns the charger, then we warranty it for the life of the charger.
Okay. Can you explain, are grants available for L2 or DC fast, or both?
Both, depending on the state. So it's state by state. Some have just L2, some have just DCFC, some have both. So get with your rep and they'll walk you through that.
Okay. A bunch of questions have just been, who do I contact? Please just drop Brandon or I, both of our email addresses are there, or just CC us both, a note about what you're looking for, and we'll answer your questions, or we'll get you to the right person who can answer your questions. So I just want to throw that out there because I'm seeing a whole bunch of Q&As about that as well. All right. Let's talk a little bit. There's been a couple of questions about how to charge for charging and the driver experience. Do you want to walk them through the driver experience and setting rates?
Yeah, sure. So as far as setting rates, that is something that you do on the Blink network, and something you'll learn how to do if you attend the webinars that happen monthly, or you can reach out to us and we'll walk you through how to do it if if it's a more time-sensitive request. So once you set the price on the network, it is set for that charger. And when drivers pull up, they have a few different payment options. They can pay via Apple Pay, Google Wallet, their chip on their card. They can pay via the Blink app, where they find the charger on their app, click Start Charging. That activates the charger, charges their credit card. Blink members have a card that looks something like this. They wave in front of the touchscreen. That will activate the charger and charge your credit card. If they don't have any of that, there's a phone number on the charger they can call and give their credit card over the phone, get a Blink code to enter the charger. So they have multiple options to activate and pay for the chargers.
Okay, hopefully that helped add some clarity around that. Switching over to construction, there was a really interesting question. I wanted to call it out specifically because it's not one I've had asked before, is when in the construction process should you be having these conversations?
The sooner the better. So as long as it happens, as long as you start planning for it before any concrete or asphalt is laid, then you're in a good situation. Ideally, before you bring power to the building, before you make a determination to the utility and how much power you'll need for that building, that's even better. So if you can tell the utility to account for chargers, then that's great. And then as far as running the wiring before anything's, so the sooner the better. If it's too soon, then the Blink rep will tell you that and have you reach out when it's more appropriate.
All right. So I just want to throw out, all the attendees will be contacting you. Please, if you didn't get your question answered, because we have 30 new ones, so I don't think we're going to get to them all. Just let us know. We're happy to help, and we'll get you in the right direction, even if we can't answer it now live for everyone. I just want to wrap up with two questions because they're quite interesting and I hadn't heard them before. So someone is talking about wanting to replace their charging equipment because it's operating on 2G. How would they go about doing that?
Very good question. So if we own the charger, then we want to put in a new one. If you own the charger, then you'll have to buy a new charger. But for replacing existing old units, we're able to offer a very steep discount to do so.
And that could also be another brand charger as well, right? There's companies that no longer even produce equipment. So we're happy to talk to you about replacing their equipment as well. All right. Okay. So how much can I make on this? That's always a tough one. And I gave you 2 minutes to answer it. What do you have to say?
Sure. Obviously, it's completely dependent on the usage of the chargers. So the more usage, the more money you'll make. I've seen some chargers that are making, as little as $50 a month and some that are making as much as $800 a month and even more. I would say if they're decently used, then you should expect between $200 and $300, roughly speaking, per month in gross revenue per charger.
Okay. And of course, that will change as more EVs hit the streets.
Right, that's today. Yeah.
For sure. All right. It looks like we have time for just one more, and then we'll have parting comments. There's some confusion over who pays for the electricity. Can we just clarify who pays for the actual electricity?
Yep. I'll keep it simple. If you own the charger, then you pay for the electricity. If we own it, then we reimburse you for the electricity. Simple as that.
Perfect. That made it very simple. All right, everyone, we cannot thank you enough. Very engaged audience. We absolutely appreciate it. We know there's a lot of uncertainty or unclarity in the industry, and it is our distinct privilege to be able to help answer some of those questions and clarify some of the information in our industry. So Brandon, parting thoughts from you certainly are welcome.
Yeah, no, it's been great to chat about this. It looks like we need another webinar just for questions. Maybe we'll schedule another one. A lot of great discussion here. So thank you all for joining, and feel free to reach out to us and we'll get your individual question answered if it was not here.
All right. Thank you, IPMI, for hosting us. This has been truly fantastic.
This time we must conclude today's program. A special thank you to Rebecca and Brandon from Blink. Thank you for joining us today. This concludes today's presentation. You may now disconnect. Thank you.
Everyone.